part of the Between the Fences and Kihleng exhibitions. The council also worked to develop a Guam-focused companion exhibit and associated programs entitled Kihleng Defense, Historical Perspectives on Guam's Changing Landscape. The exhibit explores the relations between Chamorros and fences from a historical, political, and cultural perspective. The council has partnered with the Agana Shopping Center, presenting the second venue and programs on the tour. The closing event for the second venue is titled Reading the Fence and will take place on Saturday the 30th. Joining me now are GHC Executive Director Dr. Kimberlee Kihleng, a good friend of ours, and an equal friend, Moneka Flores. She is, of course, the GHC's coordinator. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
All right, thanks for being here. Now, obviously, that was a very long intro, filled with information, right. But only barely the volume of which you will present and everything like that. So tell the community, what should we expect and what can we take away from this?
Right. Well, the event, as you mentioned, is tomorrow evening, June 30th at 6 o'clock, and it'll be in the Agana shopping venue that we have. Basically what we wanted to do, because the exhibit, as you mentioned, focuses on Chamorros' relationships with the fence, right, both historically and in contemporary times, we wanted to focus on ways in which local people have really responded to the fence, right? And we've done it throughout all of our programming, but really what we want to do is looking at creative responses to the fence, which is why we entitled it Reading the Fence. Because it's going to be a reading, an evening of reading poetry that really responds to the fence in various ways, and in both physical and intangible fences.
Now, Moneka, you've done a lot locally to perpetuate the arts, to get, especially the younger generation to find their own voice and to express themselves, through the arts and everything. Poetry is often so very broadly defined and everything. I mean, and poetry is specific to this topic. A lot of people, it's almost like with the great work that Melvin Wanpad Bor has done, and like it's very the spoken word poetry, or people can just create their own compositions and everything. What type of poetry will we expect to see?
Well, the poetry is definitely a little more complex and in content and in approach for tomorrow's event, but it's also very diverse. In styles, we've got John Norman Sarmiento is actually a very accomplished spoken word poet. He's represented Guam in national competitions. We also have some published Chamorro women writers, very accomplished ones, including Victoria Lola, Leon Guerrero, Charissa Lynn Ugin, and Desiree Ventura, Timing Ventura. So we've got a great array of styles, and each of them also are taking different approaches and talking about different perspectives about the many different fences as Kim has mentioned.
Now I'm just spitballing here, but what if somebody's sitting, like in the crowd, or they just happen to be a passerby, and they just thought, I listened to a couple of these pieces, and I myself was inspired. I took out my iPad and I just jotted down a few notes. I've composed something I'd like to share along those lines. Would people be allowed or at liberty to come and present as well?
Well, we have about 9 poets reading tomorrow night. It's not an open mic night per se, but we're going to have several other programming events, which include like film and discussion, some children's story and activity hours, and other lectures. And so there's lots of other ways that people can come and also participate creatively. Some artwork is also included in this venue, and will be also included in the other venue. So there's a lot of ways people can reflect and interact with the exhibits in creative ways.
Excellent, because especially this type of material, so much of what gets created is often impulsive. And Dr. Kihleng, I thought it's also interesting how this whole series of the fence, and that's a very appropriate metaphor, because it's both figurative and literal. And I was talking with our producer Joan the other day, and she was like, that's very creative how they did that. So kind of explain exactly how the fence weaves, in and out, both the tangible and
well, we were really fortunate once again to be partners, with the Smithsonian Institution, and that was actually, their Between Fences is their, exhibit. And of course, being from Guam and living here, we are very attuned to the fact in which that topic resonated with our own community. So we thought it would be really important to bring it to Guam and really put it in a local context. So if you see, the local exhibit, Kihleng, the fence, it really looks at, things from, it takes an historical perspective, so it looks at fences during the Spanish period, things like how the river, the Agana River divided the Chamorro community, in terms of class, right, and status. those issues. It talks about, schools, the education system, our prisons, all the ways in which we look at fences, land, agricultural land, how it's divided up, right, where it's divided. And then, of course, the military fence obviously is a big issue as well, but also more intangible ones, such as the exhibit itself talks about issues of citizenship, Chamorro nationalism, land rights and land issues. And then in our programming, we've talked about an array of things, like from disabilities as being a barrier in our community as a fence, gender as being something, just a gendered space, like the Tarot Gardens, right, in the Higanya Springs, which is really a strictly Plauen female domain. So just a variety of ways in which we look at fences.
And again, ladies, we're barely just scratching the surface of all that's going to be discussed and everything like that. So real quick, we've got about 20 seconds. If you can just give a real quick plug once again for where people can check us out.
Yes, come tomorrow evening, June 30th, Saturday at 6 p.m. at the Higanya Shopping Center. We have a very large venue space right across from National Office Supply. So we'd love to have you join us. It's free and open to the public.
All right, thank you both. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned. We're back after this.